What's up guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dirtnation Off-Road. So today what we're going to be doing is going over recommended off-roading gear. Now if you're a beginner and you're just getting started on trails, you just picked up a truck or a Jeep or whatever, or like this guy, you want to make sure that you're prepared and you're not getting yourself stuck or trapped or you're breaking your vehicle or anything like that. So there's some things that you want to make sure that you bring with you to prevent all those things, as well as helping others, because you know when you're out on the trail, you see somebody that's stuck or broken down, you definitely want to stop, see if they're okay, and making sure everybody's good. So I got a bunch of stuff laid out here on the Tacoma. We're going to go over that right now. This is it's a lot of stuff. I've compiled it over the years, just learning, getting out there on the trail, and it's definitely not a complete list or anything like that. There's other things that you're going to want to make sure you bring with you, but this is just what I bring with me, and I'm just going to give you guys my feedback, my experience, all that junk. So let's get to it. Okay, up first is the stuff that you're going to want to bring with you, just if you're out and about in general. If you're getting out of the city and going into places where you're going camping and you're going to be limited cell phone reception, all that stuff, you're going to want to make sure you bring these things. First up is the radios. So these are the ones that we use right here. These are the Baofeng's. They're a VHF style radio, and these are really useful. Is what we use on our runs, and a lot of people use them. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you just start clicking through channels, you could probably find somebody to help you if you're in that situation. And I'll make a video on these in the future. A lot of people usually have questions about them. I'm still trying to learn how to really program them. I mean, I could set the frequencies so that you could talk to each other, but I don't know much more about them other than that. So once I learn more about these, I'll get you guys a video so you guys can get more information on them. But really great radios. Pick these up for 25 bucks on Amazon, and you can get the longer extension. You can get this thing so you can, talk like a Fed. It's all good stuff. First aid kit is definitely important. You should just have one in general. You should always have one in your vehicle. Pick this up from Bass Pro Shop. It's, kind of small one. It just has basic stuff, Band-Aids, antiseptic, all that stuff. I've used it a couple times, when I cut myself or when people smash their fingers in their Tacoma. No names, but that stuff happens. Next is, making sure you have food. So MRE, meal ready, what are these called? Meal ready to eat individual. So MREs are definitely important. I got these from one of our guys, Frank the Tank. He drives a big Tacoma on 35s. Cool dude. He set me up with these. These are good for a couple years. You can't technically buy them, but you can pick them up on Craigslist or OfferUp or something like that. But it's good to have just in case. All you need is water to get those set up, and then you can have some meatballs and stuff. It's good stuff. Next is the Jackery portable power station. Now we made a video on this. This thing is great. Use it all the time, whether I'm camping or at work or whatever. I'm always charging up stuff with this, so it's good to have extra battery in case your vehicle dies or anything like that happens. So you can get something like this, get something smaller. Just make sure you're prepared. Next is your air up and air down stuff. Now this is when you actually start getting into off-roading gear. Air down gauge is super important. It allows you to air down your tires pretty quickly. It has a gauge, and I've made a video on how to use this as well as the air compressor. I'll link that below. The air compressor is the Viair 88P. Great air compressor, very durable. This is my second one. The first one broke after 2 years because I dropped it too many times. But it's a great air compressor, something good for you to have so that when you're off-roading, you can air down your tires, have a more comfortable ride, get better traction, all that good junk. So look into that stuff. We'll link those below. Up next is a shovel, which is super important if you're, especially if you're going out in snow, deep sand, anything where you can slip and slide and get stuck. This helps you dig yourself out. I use it all the time. It has a nice sharp edge right here so that you can chop stuff if you need to. And it also collapses and goes into this bag. And that's what it's made by right there. It's a Smitty built one. Actually, a lot of my recovery gear is Smitty built just because it is on the cheaper side. But yeah, it collapses into this little pouch, which is really cool. Over here, what we have is tire plugs. Now, mine have gotten a little dirty because I've had them for a couple years. I've only used them a couple times, not on my tires, usually for somebody else's. But what happens is if you get a puncture, you widen the hole a little bit with this screw deal, or you could use power tools if you have them, and then you stick this plug in here, and you could either heat it up or you can use glue, and you stick the plug in there with this little needle thing right here, and that plugs up your tire. So in the process of making this video, I got myself a nail in the tire. So we're gonna test out one of the patch doodads to see if they actually work, because this is my first time using them. I've seen them work on other trucks, but I want to give you guys a small demonstration. Let's get it. We're gonna start by taking this little doodad out of here. There it is. We got to use the snap-on ones because snap-on is is all right. Jesus, someone doesn't like me. We're gonna take this thing, we're gonna widen the hole a little bit. So right there, supposed to just clear the hole of any debris. There it is. We're gonna grab the stickiest one of these that we could find. That's a nice gusano. Pinch the tip. See these teeth right here? We're gonna stick it right through the teeth. Like that. Put it right in the center, like so. And then just stick this sucker in there. So you want to stick it as far as you can in there, but you want some of these hanging out so you can cut them off afterwards. So that's that right there. And then pull that out and put some of the rubber cement that comes with it. Kind of just dab it on there. And that should be it. Huh? There it is. I'll do a spray test, make sure it's still good. No bubbles. We're gonna trim the excess. There it is. Can't be that easy. There's no way. Yeah, that's it. All right, back to the regular video. Bungee cables are also very important if you're working on your suspension and you need to hang something, or if you just need to, you know, strap stuff down. It's just always good to have them. They don't take too much space. By the way, I keep everything in this bag right here. So, I mean, everything that you see right here, for the most part, fits in this duffel bag. So, you know, space gets tight, but definitely good to have these. Up next is 2x4s. Now, I use these for a lot of different things. People always make fun of me, like, why the hell would you have these? But you'd be surprised how many things I use these for. Typically, if we jack up a vehicle and you need some kind of spacing, these are great because the wood would absorb it, so it kind of just, you know, sticks it into place. You know, every time I jack up the truck, I use the 2x4. We use them for traction when we're in the snow. We use them for a bunch of different stuff. You know, you can set this if you need to hit something and you want to hit this instead of actually hitting it, you can hit this with the sledgehammer and stick that against there. 2x4s are just really versatile. They're good to have. Just always keep a couple on you and good to go. And then over here is what we have. Now this, it's wrapped up in the package. I've never had to use it, but this is called a cast. So it's just like if you were to break your arm. A cast that, you know, you set around yourself and then it hardens. So if something breaks, you know, let's say you break a leaf spring or something like that, you know, this is a possibility of being able to wrap this around here. You wet it and it hardens, and it's, you know, it says it's stronger than duct tape. Duct tape, by the way, make sure you bring some of that. But it's always good to have something just in case something breaks, something snaps, and you need to tape it together just to get you off the trail so that you're safe. This is a good option. Pick these up really cheap. And then, you know, duct tape, can't ever go wrong with duct tape. Recovery straps is always a must. You know, making sure that you have some D-rings as well. So I have these D-rings, and also know your mounting points on your vehicle. I know where mine are, and making sure that, you know, wherever your mounting points are, does your D-rings go in there, and are you able to hook up your strap correctly to it? This is a Smittybilt strap. This one's all beat up, and, you know, I've used it a bunch of times, but it still works fine. Does its job. I pulled vehicles, done all that. But it's always good to have one of those on you, just in case. Up next is what we're getting into, spare part territory. You know, I have upgraded upper control arms from Dirt King, but if I go on a big trip or somewhere where I'm at risk of breaking something, I always bring the stock ones just in case. The uniballs are just fine. I mean, everything, you know, the boots are ripped, but it doesn't matter. If I need to swap out the control arm really quickly, I can do that. And these will work for any other Tacomas too, which it's very popular for Tacomas to come with us. So I make sure I bring those. I also bring, these are rear brake lines because I extended mine. But same thing, if I pop a brake line for some reason, I'm able to, you know, just have those. They don't take up much space. And then lastly, inside here, inside the American flag, is a spare CV axle. If you have independent front suspension, I would highly recommend bringing a half shaft with you. Luckily for the Tacoma, the driver and the passenger side are the exact same size, so it can work on either side. But I always have one with me because, you know, if you're IFS and you're rock crawling and, you know, you're spinning your tires and you catch a rock, it's always possibility to break the axle. So I always make sure I have that with me so that we're good to go, as well as if somebody else breaks their axle, because you know, it's all the same for the Tacomas. And then I don't always bring this with me, but another given is bringing at least a little bit of extra oil in case you burn some off, like going at a steep incline or you're leaking some for some reason. Always good to have some oil for your vehicle, so know what you need. Like for the Tacomas, 0W20, got that thin, and I always make sure I have at least a little bit with me. Tools is also something that's very important. Now, I have a variety of tools. I pretty much bring everything that I have. You know, I make sure I have, you know, snippers and knives, and you know, I have a 3/8 ratchet with a bunch of sockets, and I have, you know, open end wrenches with close end and ratcheting and all that stuff. You know, screwdrivers, gloves, glasses, drill bits, drills. I bring an impact. I pretty much bring everything. You don't need to bring all this stuff, but it is recommended that you at least know what you need for your vehicle. Like, what do you need to take off your wheel? What do you need to take apart your suspension? Because those are the things that are probably going to break first. So make sure you know what you need. Pry bars are important. You know, hammers or mallets are super important. Just know what you need and make sure you bring that. Also, zip ties, because zip ties fix everything, especially body damage. Another important one is these ratchet straps. These things are super important. We've fixed so much crap with these that you know, like we had the carrier bearing on a Frontier brake once. I ended up just ratchet strapping it to the frame, and it got him off the trail to where he could get towed home. But you know, it's not a perfect fix, but it does it. When Fernando broke his leaf springs out in Ocotillo Wells, same thing, use a ratchet strap. Scott broke his, you know, his Dana 35 on his XJ, and you know, we ratchet strapped a log on there in order to, you know, use it as a sled. So ratchet straps are just good to have all around, especially if you have a truck. You know, you can strap stuff down, make sure it's secure, all that good junk. And then these running boards are also super important as well. You see these on the Overlanders quite a bit. They'll use the nice ones, which is like the orange Max Tracks, and they come a bunch of different colors. These are the cheap ones. These are like Firebug from Amazon. I'll link those below. They're about 60 bucks for 2 of them, and you know, they don't work as well as the Max Tracks. You know, I'm just gonna be honest. You know, the tread gets all stripped off from the wheels and everything, but they do work. They've helped in snow situations. They've helped when I've gotten stuck before. They're actually pretty useful, so I make sure I always bring those with me. You know, just get the cheap ones, you'll be good to go. All right, so that's it for my list of recommended off-road gear. You know, definitely not a perfect or thorough list, but it's stuff that we generally use, generally need, and if you know, emergency happens, we have that stuff ready to go. So if you guys want to start your own, I would recommend just start with a bag and then just get your stuff little by little. None of this stuff is really that expensive. Tools can be expensive, but a lot of us already have tools. Just make sure you guys are, you know, bringing what you need out there, and to make sure that you're safe, you're ready to go, and your vehicles don't get stranded or anything like that. So if you guys have any recommendations on recovery gear or off-road gear in general, definitely comment below, because I would like to learn more from you guys, as well as you can help others that are reading the comments. So, but other than that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channels, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Patreon. We'll put all those links below. You can also hit us up for shirts at dirtnationoffroad@gmail.com. And as for all this stuff, I'll link it below if I have links for it. If I don't, and you have any questions, shoot a comment, shoot us on DM on Instagram. We'll be good to go. So thank you guys. We'll see you again next time.